Welcome to Richmond. This beautiful neighbourhood is situated in the west of London and is famed for its position alongside the Thames, its royal history, its beautiful green spaces including a deer park and some pretty stunning houses. In this video we're going to share with you the very best things to do in Richmond, including some hidden gems. Richmond's original name was actually Sheen, which means beautiful or bright. Its name was only changed to Richmond during the reign of Henry VII, who decided to change the name of the town and the palace associated with it in order to reflect his title, which was the Earl of Richmond. The name Richmond comes from Old French, meaning strong hill. Richmond Palace was constructed in around 1501 by Henry VII. It was actually the favourite palace of Elizabeth I, and she died here in 1603. Today, only a few parts of the palace remain, but the history of the area remains rich. The palace remained a royal residence until the death of Charles I in 1649. Just a few months after his execution, the palace was sold off during an Act of Parliament for just £13,000, and most of it was dismantled over the following decade. So now all that remains is the gatehouse and a few different pieces here and there. This is Richmond Green, and in the 15th and 16th centuries, Tudor kings and queens would have come here for jousting matches while staying in the nearby Richmond Palace. Today, this area is an integral space for the community, and there are regular cricket matches and fairs held here every year. If you're a fan of Ted Lasso, then you probably recognise the pub that's just behind me. This is the Prince's Head, though in the show it's actually known as the Crown and Anchor. In actual fact, the pub is over 300 years old, though it's only the exterior that is used as a filming location. Paved Court is a delightful little pedestrian walkway where you'll find lots of different shops, boutiques and bars. In the Ted Lasso show, this is also the street on which Ted lives. This is Ted's actual doorway, though in the show it's marked as 9.5. As of last summer, there's even a Ted Lasso boutique on Paved Court. You'll then want to make your way towards the water, which is undoubtedly the most picturesque area of Richmond. To be honest, one of the nicest things about visiting Richmond is the chance to walk alongside the Thames. Here you'll find lots of different species of birds, and apparently, if you're lucky, you might even spot some seals. When you're walking around Richmond, you'll come across lots of amazing sculptures and statues. For example, this memorial bench is dedicated to Virginia Woolf, who actually lived here with her husband from 1914 to 1924. If you're feeling particularly adventurous, then you can even rent a rowboat to go along the River Thames if it's a sunny day like today. The Thames Path actually runs for 21 miles between Hampton Court and Barnes, but even getting to do a small part of the trail in Richmond is very charming and pleasant. Terrace Gardens is one of the most beautiful green spaces here in Richmond. The space you see actually began life as brickwork kilns during the 17th century. Later on, wealthy homeowners decided to build their houses around those grounds, and their gardens were eventually joined to create the gardens you see today. Hollyhock Cafe is tucked away within Terrace Gardens and is fully vegetarian. You can even sit out on their terrace overlooking the rest of the green space, watching the world go by. This statue was erected in 1952 and was sculpted by Edgar Allan Howes. It actually replaced a former metal fountain on site, which was melted down as part of the war effort. Unfortunately, this is meant to represent Aphrodite, but when it was installed, many people thought it was in quite poor taste, and so started calling the statue Bulbous Betty, which is a name that has definitely stuck, but is more of a fun nickname now than it was before. When you're wandering around Richmond, don't be surprised if you see some wild parakeets. It's thought that there are up to 50,000 of them across the UK, with most of them being concentrated in London. The first record of parakeets being in the wild here dates back to the 1970s, when it's thought that some parakeets escaped into the wild and have just bred ever since. It's honestly very unusual to see these little green birds in the oak trees, but they're very fun to spot. Richmond is honestly the greenest part of London. Here you'll find parks, woods, gardens, and this itself is Petersham Common, but now we're going to go and see the biggest park of them all. Richmond Park is the largest royal park in London, and little has actually changed about it during the past 800 years. The park was renamed from Sheen Manor House at the beginning of the 16th century by Henry VII, but it truly came into its own in 1625 when Charles I moved his court here in order to escape the plague. It was at this time that it became a really popular royal hunting ground, and even today there are over 500 deer still in the park. The red and fallow deer have been roaming freely in Richmond Park since 1637. Just remember that they are wild animals, so do keep your distance and stay at least 50 meters away from them at all times. This is Poet's Corner, and it's a really serene space in the park where you'll find lots of pollinating flowers. King Henry's Mound is the highest point of Richmond Hill, and in prehistoric times this would have been a burial mound or a commemorative mound. Today it offers amazing views onto the west of London, including onto Ham House, which is a historic house on the banks of the River Thames, and onto Heathrow, so you can see lots of planes taking off and landing. If you happen to be visiting on a clear day and you look through this telescope, you'll get a keyhole viewpoint of St Paul's Cathedral, which is 10 miles away. To be honest, one of the greatest joys of wandering around Richmond is soaking up all of the beautiful architecture. For example, I really like seeing Hickey's almshouses, which are mock neo-Tudor and date back to 1834. If you love plants, then there's one destination in Richmond you can't miss, and that's Kew Gardens. Set within over 130 hectares of grounds, the gardens boast gems such as the oldest Victorian glasshouse in the world and the smallest royal residence in the world. Of course, there are many other treasures to discover, such as this 50-metre high pagoda. If you're interested in learning more about Kew, then I actually have a full guided tour on my channel, which you can check out after you finish this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more London content. See you next time.